going on? This is Airplane Mode, and guys, today we will be flying the IXEG 737 Classic as Southwest Airlines Flight 4679 with full service from Atlanta International Airport to Orlando International Airport. The plane has basically been started up, however the FMC has not been programmed and the MCP panel has not yet been set, so we can jump into the flight deck and get those things squared away. Alright guys, now that we are down here at our FMC, we can go ahead and move to the FMC section right there. I already prepared my position initialization as the IRS were refusing to align unless I did that, which makes sense. But anyway, moving to our route page here, we can go ahead and put in Atlanta right there, and we can put in Orlando's ICAO, which is Kilo, Mike, Charlie, Oscar right there. And obviously we are SWA 4679. And put that right there. That looks good. Now moving to our departure and arrival index, we are departing out of runway 9 left right here on the COCAM with the carpet transition like that, and we are arriving here on the Piglet 4 with OTK, and we are doing an ILS for runway 36 right with the tramp transition. Now that we have done that, we can move down to our legs page here. We can clear any discontinuities and vectors we may have. Alright, right here, and like that. Alright, everything looks good like that. Oh, we can go ahead and check this. From what I can see, it looks alright. I'm going to have to go ahead and zoom out. So we can go ahead and activate this, and we can move back here like this, and let's just go ahead and preview our route like this. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can see right here, but there's this really long, I kind of think unnecessary waypoint. So I'm going to go ahead and go from wheelie right here to OTK. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and execute that. Alright, yeah, so we're going to go do down the runway, and then we're going to go for a little loop to OTK. That all looks good. We can go ahead and set 20 for our traffic thing right there. Now we can go ahead and move to our, alright, here we go, perfect. So our zero fuel weight for today is 44.4. We can go ahead and set that right there. Our reserves are 1.1. And our cost index is 32. You can go ahead and execute that, and obviously our cruising altitude of 30,000 feet. Our cruising wind for today is 257 at 59, so 257 at 59 right there. And our cruising temperature is 3 for today, so we can go ahead and set that right there. Now moving to our N1 limit, we can go ahead and set 11 for our outside air temperature, and since we are departing off of a long runway, we can go ahead and derate for our takeoff. Flaps 5 obviously are already set, so that all looks good like that. Our trim is 3.4, so with that we can go ahead and confirm our V speeds. We are pretty light today. Anyway, we can go ahead and set our trim, so we can move down back here. We can set 3.4 right there. And with that, we are pretty much set for our route. Looks good for our FMC. Yeah, everything looks good. So with that, we can go ahead and move to our MCP panel. Alright, now that we are up here at our MCP panel, we can go ahead and start by turning on both of our flight directors. We can arm our auto throttle and set our V2 speed of 140 knots. So we can go ahead and set that 140 right there. And the heading for runway 9 left is 95, so we can go ahead and set 95 right there. And our cruising altitude is good right there. And now that we have finished our MCP panel, we can go ahead and finish some of our other checks. Alright, so to begin our other checks, we can go ahead and turn our yaw damper on. We can make sure that our cross V selector is closed. We can turn all of our fuel pumps on just like that. Our emergency lights are on. Galley switch is on. That all looks good to me. Alright, moving up here. Looks all good. We can turn our window heaters on. We can leave our pilot static heat switches off. We can turn our electric hydraulic pumps on. We can put our air temperature switch to passenger cabin. We can turn our circle fans on. Let us right there. We can turn our packs on. And we can go ahead and turn on our APU bleed like that. That all looks good. Now moving to our pressurization panel. Right here, we can go ahead and set that. So obviously our cruising altitude is 30,000 feet. So we can set that right there. And our landing altitude is 96, so we can go ahead and set that as close as we can. That looks good right there. And then obviously for our cabin altitude, that is just the altitude here at Atlanta, which for today is 1026. That looks good right there. Alright, now that we are finished with our pressurization panel, we can go ahead and move to our before start checklist. So we can go ahead and set our speed markers right over here. So our V1 is 128. It's already set, and our rotation speed for today is 130, and then our V2 is 140. So we can go ahead, set 140 right there. That all looks good. We can go ahead and set our altimeters, which for today is going to be 3019. So we can go ahead and set our baro to 3019 right here. That looks good right there. We can go ahead and turn our packs off for push and start. We can turn our anti-collision light on, and with that we can go ahead and pre-plan our pushback, so we can call for better pushback, pre-plan pushback, and we can just push back over here because runway 9 left is over there in that direction, so we can go ahead. That's good enough.
Ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Alright, we are ready, so we can go ahead and do start pushback.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Alright, one more thing we can do is go ahead and clear our ground services.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Alright, we can go ahead and clear our gate and ground services. We can go ahead and release our parking brake and reset it, and all that stuff should go away. We can go ahead and close our cargo doors, so we can go to ground services here and close our cargo doors just like that and wait for the push cart to connect. Alright, so our push cart has fully connected, so we can go ahead, release our parking brake, and begin our pushback.
And you may start engines.
Alright, we can go ahead and wait for a little bit to start our engines, as we don't want to start them right by the ramp. Should be good about right here, so we can go ahead and start engine 2 first, as we usually do. Set that to the ground position and wait for our N2 to reach 25%. Alright, there's 25% right there. We can go ahead and introduce our fuel. Alright, so engine 2 has successfully started up. We can go ahead and start our engine 1, so we can set engine 1 to the ground position and once again wait for N2 to reach 25%. Alright, there's 25%. We can go ahead and introduce our fuel and wait for engine 1 to start up. Alright, and now that our engines have both started up, we can go ahead and turn our engine generators on. We can turn our
operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Alright, we can set our parking brake. We can
Disconnecting
turn our
tow.
packs
Stand by.
back to their auto position. Right there. We can go ahead, test our flight control, so we can go full back, full forward, full left, and full right. And for our rudders, we can go full left and rudders full right, just like that. Alright, that all looks good to me. We can go ahead and turn our APU bleed air off, and we can turn our APU off. We can put our weather and terrain switch on, and then we can turn on our actual weather just like that. We can go ahead and set flaps 5 for our takeoff. We can put our engine start switches to continuous. We can turn our runway turn-off lights and our taxi lights on.
Tow is disconnected and bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time, and have a safe flight.
Alright, we just set our auto brakes to RTO. We can wait for the hand signals over there. There's our hand signals right there. Everything looks good, so right here we can go ahead, release our parking brake, and taxi ourselves onto runway 9 left. Alright, now that we are approaching runway 9 left, we can go ahead and begin to slow down here. We can come to a complete stop. We can set our parking brake. Alright, so all of our landing lights can go on, taxi lights off, runway turn off lights can come off, and everything else looks good for the takeoff, so we can go ahead and release our parking brake and move on to runway 9 left. Make sure that we're clear from the left. If we are, and we are clear from the right. Everything looks good, so we can taxi on. Alright, we can go ahead and stable our engines at 40%. Right there. You can go full throttle and engage N1 right there. Alright. You want to rotate. Positive rate gear are coming up here. Alright, holding the nose at about 15 degrees here. And there's 1,500 feet. We can go ahead and set our flaps up, and we can set our gear to the off position. We can engage VNAV and an LNAV, and we can go ahead and engage our autopilot. Right, we can turn our engine start switches to their off position. And turn our auto brake off. And that is pretty much it until we reach 10,000 feet. Alright guys, just a quick little update to save us a little bit of time. Instead of having to do this loop, I'm going to go ahead and go from this waypoint here direct to OTK, so we can go ahead and move that right there. That should do it right there. So when we reach that waypoint, we should be turning. Alright, we are already turning, and that is it until 10,000 feet. Alright, and now that we are crossing through 10,000 feet, we can go ahead and shut our landing lights all off. And we can turn our fasten seatbelt signs off, and that is it until we reach 18,000 feet. Alright, now that we are basically crossing through 18,000 feet, we can go ahead and set our altimeter to standard, so we can go ahead and set 29902. And with that, we are set until top of descent, so I will see you guys then. Alright, so now that we are approximately 30 nautical miles from top of descent, we can go ahead and set our altitude to 27,000 feet, right up there, so that when we do reach our top of descent, we can go ahead and just flip the vertical speed to minus 2,000 feet per minute, and we should be good for our descent. Alright, we are close enough to our top of descent here that I am going to go ahead and start descending at about 2,000 feet per minute here. Also, since we are descending, I am going to go ahead and turn my runway turn-off lights on. I'm going to turn my fasten seatbelts on. And I am going to turn my engine start switches to continuous. And that is it until our next altitude restriction. Now that we are at our next waypoint, we can go ahead and set our altitude to 225,000 feet, just like that. We can go ahead and descend at, we can go at about 1,000 feet per minute, as this waypoint is about 50 nautical miles. So with that, we are set until we reach our altitude. Alright, we are close enough now to our next waypoint that I am going to go ahead and set my altitude to 18,500 feet, which happens to be our altitude restriction for our next waypoint. And I am going to go ahead and go down at about 2,000 feet per minute here, so we can go ahead and descend. With that, everything looks good for now. Alright, so I am going to go ahead right now and set 13,900 for my altitude right here, as that is our next altitude restriction. And once we get a little bit closer to Jasmine right there, we are going to go ahead and descend at about 2,000 feet per minute. Alright, we are close enough to Jasmine right now, so I'm going to go ahead and start my descent at about 2,000 feet per minute right here. Also, since we are about to cross through 18,000 feet, I'm going to go ahead and set Orlando's altimeter, which for today is 3022, so we can go ahead and set 3022 right here. Right there, and that is it until our next altitude restriction. Alright, so I am right now going to go ahead and set 11,000 feet right here for my altitude, so that when we do reach our next waypoint, we don't have to worry about setting that. We will just cross right through 13,000 feet. Alright guys, so for our next waypoint, we need to descend down to, as you guys can see, 8,800 and lower our speed to 240 knots. We can go ahead and set our speed 240 knots right there, and our altitude of 8,800 feet right there. And we can go ahead and descend once again at about 2,000 feet per minute. Also at this time, I am going to be programming my approach drift, so as you can see, our gross weight is 47.9. We are going to be flying a flaps 40 landing, so that would mean that with the wing correction, we have a VREF of 133 knots, so that will be our VREF for today. So we can move back up here, and that is it until our next altitude restriction. Right, now that we just have crossed through 10,000 feet, we can go ahead and turn our landing lights on, and with that, we are pretty much set again until our next altitude restriction. Alright guys, we do now have to descend down to 5,400 feet, so we can go ahead and set that 5,400, and we can descend at, once again, about 2,000 feet per minute. That is it for this waypoint. Alright, one more thing I am going to do at this time is reduce my speed to 219 knots, so we can slow down a little bit here. Alright, so right now I am going to be reducing my altitude to 5,000 feet right there, and I am going to drop my speed to 186 knots, so we can slow down a little bit. And I am going to go down at about 500 feet per minute, because we do not need to descend that quickly. Alright, right now I am going to be dropping my speed again to 177 knots and dropping my altitude to 4,000 knots right there, and going down at about 1,500 feet per minute, just like that. And also at this time, I'm going to be dropping my speed once more to 164 knots and my altitude to 1,600 feet right there. And I'm going to increase my rate of descent to 2,000 feet per minute. Also at this time, I'm going to be dropping my landing gear and setting flaps 5 as well as auto brakes to 1. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set flaps 15. And I'm going to go ahead and arm my approach and disarm my LNAV. And there we go, we are on glide slope and our VOR. And finally, I am going to be reducing my speed to 150 knots. And I'm going to be setting flaps 30. And I'm going to go ahead and set my flaps to full, kind of readjust my view here. Alright, I am going to go ahead and disengage my autopilot and my auto throttle. Go ahead and fly the plane manually. I want to stay on the glide slope here.
Light slope. Light slope.
So we do need to pull up a little bit,
Light slope.
maintain the glide slope.
400.
Alright, there's 300 feet.
Minimum.
Landing. Uh-oh, we are pretty high.
100.
100. I'm idling the thrust there.
50.
50.
40. 30. 20.
Don't want to float.
10.
Goes up. And we are down. Speed brakes out. Reversers out. There's 70 right there. We can go reversers in. Just let ourselves coast for a little bit. Disarm our auto brakes. And put our speed brakes up. Flaps can come up. And take this exit right here. Guys, welcome to Orlando. Go ahead and turn our pilot static heat switches off. Engine start switches can come off. And clear that master caution. Strobe lights can come off. Taxi lights can come on. Landing lights off. Alright, we can just go ahead and taxi ourselves to the ramp. We can go ahead and set our auto brakes off. Speed brakes are already up, and with that, we can just finish our taxi to the ramp. Alright, we can go ahead and start up our APU here. Looks good. We can go ahead and shut off our center fuel pumps as they say low pressure. Alright, so there once again is no auto gate here, so we can go ahead and just manually vector ourselves into the gate. Stop right here. Alright, we can set our parking brake and kill our engines. Fasten seatbelt signs can come off. APU generators can come on. Taxi lights, runway turn off lights, all those guys can come off. Position lights can come off. Anti-collision lights can come off. Those all look good like that. Our fuel pumps, except for our left forward, can come off. We can turn our galley switch off. Window heaters off. Air temperature switch can just come here. Turn our packs off. APU bleed on, and that is pretty much the plane in its turnaround state. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not yet, do be sure to hit that subscribe button and like button, as well as that bell symbol, so that you will never miss out on a new airplane mode video. The total flight time for today was 1 hour and 13 minutes. Once again guys, thank you so much for checking out this video, and as always, I will be seeing you guys real soon in my next video. See ya!